Just a preface to today's video. It's Friday the 10th of December and I'm actually in Great Yarmouth this morning rather than back in Galston where I'd normally be from. Reading still, Dr. Kirsten Demez is a book, Jesus and John Wayne. And it just explains so much to me what exactly is behind people like Mr. Stuart Spaghettiner's messages for our time. Kind of almost violent, aggressive, triumphalist, conquering Christianity. And it's got an awful lot to do with them trying to re-masculinize what they saw in the 50s, which would have been probably when he was a teenager, as a feminized God. So I'm just going to put this through just as a reading from that chapter. It's going to be nearly 10 minutes, okay? Bye. I'm going to read just a little bit from No More Mr. Nice Guy, chapter 10, Jesus and John Wayne by Dr. Christian Demez. I'm really kind of exploring this idea of what Christians of this particular kind seem to think men should be about. And I'm beginning to see, as I've probably always known, that their kind of view of a man is, shall we say, rather toxic. So, taking it from No More Mr. Nice Guy, chapter 10. And this particular first name I mention here, I have actually heard of when I was in the Salvation Army a long time ago. John Eldridge didn't like office work. It wasn't good for his masculinity or his spirituality. Spiritual life was meant to be frontier, untamed. If evangelical men wanted to experience true Christianity, they needed to get out of their lazy boys and climate-controlled shopping malls and into God's wild creation. Eldridge's 2001 book, Wild at Heart, Discovering the Secrets of a Man's Soul, set the tone for new evangelical militancy in the new millennium. Eldridge's God was a warrior God, and men were made in his image. Aggression, not tenderness, was part of the masculine desire. Wild at Heart would sell more than 4 million copies in the United States alone, becoming a ubiquitous presence in megachurch men's groups, college dorm rooms, Christian bookstores, church libraries, sporting dozens of copycat books that borrow copiously from Eldridge's formula. It would frame the evangelical explorations of masculinity for years to come. For Eldridge, masculinity was thoroughly militaristic. Little boys loved to play with capes and swords, bandanas and six-shooters, yearning to know that they were powerful and dangerous, somehow to be reckoned with. They specialized in inventing games where bloodshed is the prerequisite for having fun. God made men to be dangerous, Eldridge explained. Women didn't start wars or commit many violent crimes, but the very strength that made men dangerous also made them heroes. If a neighborhood was safe, it was because of the strength of its men. Men were not women it was men, not women, who brought an end to slavery, apartheid, and the Nazis. Men gave up their seats on the Titanic's lifeboats, and critically, it was a man who let himself be nailed to a cross. According to Eldridge, God created men to long to battle and fight, an adventure to live, a beauty to rescue. But society offered men confusing messages. For 30 years, people have been redefining masculinity into something sensitive, safe, manageable, and, well, feminine. Yet now, they berated men for not being men. The church bore a large share of the blame. Crisis in masculinity pervaded both church and society because a warrior culture no longer existed. But men needed a place where they could learn to fight like men. Eldridge diminished the charge that Jesus instructed his followers to turn the other cheeks. You cannot teach a boy to use his strength by stripping him of it. Eldridge's Jesus more closely remembered William Wallace than Mother Teresa or Mr. Rogers. Attempts to pacify men only emasculated them. If you want a safer, quieter animal, it's easy to castrate him. Sadly, clingy mothers and the public school system effectively did just that. Now, I know that's quite a long quote, but I just want to add a little bit on the end. I note distinctly when our little friend, Stuart, Messages for Our Time, said in a very recent video, I think it might have only been yesterday, on Prince Charles and his whole idea of wanting to be ecumenical and take in all faiths. Yep. He said that he didn't come across to him as much of a man. Yep. Notice what's behind that evangelical Christianity definition of what a man should be. That book says everything. It explains so much. And I'm getting a lot out of reading it because I guess, well, I grew up as well, partly in the time that book was being written. Yeah. I'm a child of the 60s. Yeah. We began to redefine everything differently to our parents. Yes, my father was in the military. He was a true warrior. So obviously that's kind of left me with certain sort of impressions and ideas. And yes, I have 2 sons and I worry for them, quite honestly. Yeah. Anyway, hope you like that. It means a lot to me and I thought I'd just share it with you.